but it's safe to say nobody predicted what was going to happen with the track just not rubbering in at all. Even drivers outside the resin, it was just not working out. We didn't have that mess like Indy 2008. So overall, Alex, how would you grade this race? Because we did have 54 lead changes, as Adam mentioned, a new record for short tracks, but not what you expect from Bristol out of all places, I would say.
I mean, on the grading scale, it's an A plus plus. Maybe add another plus in there even. They get some extra credit. They get all this because, again, like it just blew my expectations out of the water. I did not expect this at all. It was a phenomenal race, but I want to talk about the tires really quick. Goodyear, please keep this tire. Do not go backward. Do not be more relaxed with the next tire if you're going to adjust it based on this race. Keep this one. Give them maybe another 2 sets or something, because it was just nearly a perfect race in terms of tire management. We have not had that in NASCAR like properly in like what 15 years. A lot of the field has never even done this. That's why the top 3 guys are the guys who have done it. And the last time we had a tire strategy consistently. We're the top 3 finishers today. It's just it's so much fun to watch, and I saw a lot of fans on social media who are newer fans who didn't really get it, but it's just because they don't see this. They don't see this a lot, right? And I think that's fine, and I wish some people were less aggressive about it on social media, just because it's like these are new fans. They don't really understand the concept, honestly. But if it happened more consistently, it'd be really a positive for NASCAR, because this was just an all-around exciting race. You couldn't let your eyes get off the TV. So I am begging Goodyear to keep the tires as they are. Maybe give them another set or two so there's not concerns about running out of tires and everything. But keeping the risk of possibly running out if you over push your tires a lot. Just phenomenal race. And by the way, record number of lead changes, as someone in the chat mentioned. And would I say this is the best race ever? Like, I don't know if I'd go that far, but it's definitely up there. Like, this is a race in like 10 years. I'm going to want to go back and rewatch it and be like, man, what a good day that was. I remember that day, where I was, what I was doing, everything. Just outstanding.
You know, Alex, I just came from Brock Beard's stream that he's doing right now and finishing up, and we had the moderators had to put somebody in a timeout because I assumed they were just trolling, but she was just going off about how this is a dying sport and nobody cares anymore, and then somebody brought up, yes, a dying sport that had 19% viewership increase last week, and this user said, well, it was 44% in 2000. So I have to assume they were probably trolling. I hope they were, but I guess it just proved that you can't please everybody. But to that point, if you vote no on the poll this week, I'm sorry, I still respect your opinion, but I don't know what more you're looking for. This was absolutely sensational. And the only question I have to ask is why did we bother pouring dirt on this place for 3 years in a row? And don't go back and dig up my old tweets, because I'm sure you can find me begging for a dirt race from 2018 to 2020. With the product that we got there today, I think that, this move back to 2 concrete races. And Joe, I know you guys were talking in the pre-race show yesterday. Could this track be in danger of losing its spring race if fans don't show up, if fans don't support this date? Obviously, everybody loves the Bristol night race, but the spring race has kind of lost its identity, and I think that's why we brought the dirt experiment to Bristol over the last few years, to try to make this race interesting again. But again, what we saw today was incredible. I'm totally with you, Alex. A plus, as many plus signs as you want. I really don't know what more you can ask for from a race. Unless you're the biggest Denny Hamlin hater in the world, or you have unrealistic expectations. That's the only way I can see you justifying a no vote on the poll this week. It was absolutely incredible.
And to follow up on, this is a dying sport and everything, we don't have 2005 ratings. I don't know if we'll ever get back to that point, and that's fine. Okay, it's perfectly fine. But this season, Phoenix was maybe a bit of a dud for a lot of people, but even that race wasn't bad. There has been, a big moment in every race this year. Every race has just been solid, and I don't recall as strong of a start to a finish or start of a season for NASCAR in many, many years. It might even be a decade plus that there has been this good of a start to a season for NASCAR. And by the way, 2019, 2020, NASCAR was not good, quite frankly, in my opinion. It was just not enjoyable to watch week in, week out. There were only like maybe 6 races a year, maybe around 10, that were like enjoyable. But now every single week feels compelling, and a lot of that has to do with the Gen 7 car and this new era of drivers coming in. I really feel like NASCAR has a new identity, and they're finally figuring out who they are again, and they're not trying to reach out and like be something different. Like, I know they have the playoffs bin, and you have opinions on that, but personally, I think the playoffs are finally starting to click for a lot of people, myself included. Like, NASCAR's identity is truly the best it's been since the early 2000s. And I know the audience isn't there, but like, genuinely, I think sport's in a great spot. And it's a great turnaround at where it was heading in 2019, 2020, when nearly every race was a dud. And also on dirt, I think the Bristol dirt experiment, that should have started at the All-Star race, for one. Two, I wish it wasn't Bristol, but I'm glad we're back here and everything. But they needed to do something, so I totally understood it. Low attendance, all that. But I still do wish we did have a dirt race. And for me, I'd like it to be at Eldora for the All-Star race, personally. I'd like to see them at least try that. Make the All-Star race an experiment, or if they're going to keep doing retro races there, I'd say Eldora still counts, I guess. It's not retro for NASCAR terms, but lots of dirt racing history there. Anyway, all that's to say, NASCAR's in a good spot. Bristol, good. Dirt racing is not bad. Don't close the door on it.
Well, I'm still dying on the hill. I'll never be a fan of the playoffs, but I'm also
and also playoffs are good. Anyway.
Well, we will agree to disagree. I understand that it makes the end of the season compelling. That's my philosophy. This sport. I mean, you saw it today. I mean, we had drivers running up front. That maybe had a faster car than the leader, but they just didn't manage their tires as well. But you can run over like Justin Allgaier at Phoenix in Xfinity last week. Imagine if that happened in the fall. And I'm not a fan of the championship coming down in one race, but that's a discussion for another day. I just want to say to your point, Alex, as well. You brought up the TV ratings, and people know I'm a big game show fan, big reality show fan. I remember, going back in time, to when American Idol was bringing in 30 million a night, and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was bringing in 30 million viewers a night. Survivor, I think, peaked at 50 million its first season. I mean, those are astronomical numbers that we're never going to see again, and that's not because those shows or other sports as well that have seen ratings declines. Some have been worse than others, and there's a lot of reasons to take into consideration there. But part of it is, part of what we're going to see next year with this new TV deal and streaming coming in is the audience. There's more cable channels than ever before. There's more streaming services than ever before. And when you have that, you have an audience more fragmented than you've ever seen before. And it's just, I think it's more of a byproduct of there being so many different options for people to pull from to get their entertainment. So the days of, and I think the 2006 Daytona 500, I think was, NBC had that race and it was during the Winter Olympics. I think they had a very strong lead in there. So I think that's the highest rated TV race for NASCAR of all time. We're never going back there again. Anybody who thinks that NASCAR won't be back until we get those numbers again, that goes back to the unrealistic expectations. But the ratings are up a little bit to start this year, and I think that's good. It's trending back in the right direction from where it has been the last several years. The Netflix hype has certainly helped. The fact that the same F1 driver has won 19 of the last 20 races certainly helps, and I certainly wish no ill will on Formula One and their business and everything. And I hope that they can get some more compelling races in the not too distant future with their changes coming in a couple of years as well. I don't root for them to fail or anything, but I think that has undeniably helped draw some more interest over to other forms of motorsport, and NASCAR is no exception there. So again, I still not a fan of the modern day gimmicks, and it's not just the playoffs. I would have liked to have seen a stage free race today. I'd like to see a stage free race every week. I don't like when races go into overtime. I'm still not a fan of the yellow line rule, but I'm not going to let all of those things, all those issues that I have with modern day NASCAR leave me in denial from the great racing and on track products that we've seen to start the year. And again, I wasn't sure how we were going to top Atlanta and the finish that we saw there. This was absolutely sensational. And again, I can't say enough about that.
Can't say enough. A++. I'll go that route with you guys as well too. And one of the things, we saw a decent crowd there. We got to remember, Bristol used to be 150 plus, I believe, capacity wise. That was during the heyday of heyday of NASCAR when everybody wanted to get into that race. Now, I think with this product, honestly, yeah, give them a couple more set of tires. I'd rather have them have more tires and mess with the compound because we didn't see this in the fall race. This was a surprise, but it was a pleasant surprise and it worked out really good. And I just think just added to where the strategy, the tire, everybody was just wondering what's going to happen. This was just a great race. The comers and goers, as we saw, Joe Gibbs racing, looked like they were going to be 1 through 4. That didn't happen. Alex Bowman sneaking in the top 5 finish. What an amazing day for him. So overall, just incredible. And this will lead up to a question for both of you guys. Best race so far, Bristol or Atlanta this year?
You want me to take that first, Joe? I guess, or
Sure, yeah, why not?
I'm going to go with Bristol, and I think that the reason for that, and actually, I taped a podcast episode. I restarted my own personal podcast this week, so tune in tomorrow. Brock Beer was my first guest for that, and we talked about a video that he just posted this week, talking about a good finish versus a good race. And I do think Atlanta was a good race, but I think it was a great finish, and I think that maybe sort of swayed people's opinions of the race a little bit. Not to say that it wasn't a good race overall, but this was a great race and I think a great finish, a great green flag run all the way to the end, much longer than I think any of us expected today. So from start to finish, and again, we didn't really have, like Atlanta, I think got bogged down a little bit from cautions and attrition, especially the lap 2 accident that didn't take out, but involved almost half the field there. We didn't see anything like that today. I mean, it was for all the flat tires and tire concerns that we had, a very low attrition race. So it was absolutely, again, I don't know what more you could have wanted from what we saw today, unless you like the wrecks or you, again, have unrealistic expectations of what you think a good race should be. I'm going to go with Bristol here. But again, Atlanta was great. Daytona up until the very end, which I know some people didn't like, but I thought the Daytona 480, if you will, was very good. And even Las Vegas and Phoenix, which I think had a couple of detractors and certainly could have been better, but they weren't all-time duds like we've seen the last couple of years with the last couple of packages there as well. I think it's been a great start to the year.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Ben. I think Bristol's a better overall race. Atlanta had the better finish, obviously.
Sure.
But, Bristol overall, this is just everything you'd want from a NASCAR race, I think. Hard racing, you had tire management, you had everything. I think Atlanta, there's still a little bit of improvement that could be done there personally. It's still fantastic, don't get me wrong. But this is the Bristol that I missed having, and we just haven't had in a long time. So yeah, I definitely Bristol.